All right. Hello, everybody. This is NBA DFS Strategy and Updates for 2025 to 2026. We are so back, Brandon. How are you feeling, man?
Feeling good. I know we both have success in other sports, but I think I speak for both of us when I say that NBA is our bread and butter. So
Mhm.
right around the corner, I'm super excited to take a deep dive into each team.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what we're doing today. We're just going to talk through the additions and departures for each team. We'll kind of look at the team layouts and just kind of talk through guys we like, guys we feel like are primed for really strong seasons, and just try to make some predictions before the season kicks off. So I won't waste too much time here. We'll jump right into it. We have the Atlanta Hawks, who to me is a team that looks a lot better than they looked last year for a lot of reasons. Nikhil Alexander Walker has joined the team. Kristaps Porzingis and Luke Kennard are probably the three main pieces here, but then they've lost guys like Clint Capella and Karis LeVert, which, is a little concerning. How are you feeling about the Hawks at this point?
Yeah, I agree with what you said. I definitely think the Hawks have gotten better this offseason. I think biggest thing for me is Jalen Johnson coming back. So hopefully he can stay healthy and he'll look good at the start of the season. Outside of that, um, DFS wise, I'll have to wait and see how the front court is going to work for this team because
Yeah.
Okongwu had a hell of a year last year, so
Mhm.
I don't think they're just going to throw that out the window and deduct his minutes too much. So I would imagine between Porzingis and Okongwu, they're probably going to split their minutes pretty evenly. I could be wrong, but uh, I don't see what else they would do there. So I'm very curious to see how that rotation works between those two. And then, like you said, Naw and Kennard, I think they'll be two of the outside of Okongwu, of course, they'll be two of the main bench pieces we can keep an eye out for DFS wise too as well in case anybody ever misses time in the starting line.
For sure. I think it's an interesting spot because it wouldn't shock me if they play Okongwu and Porzingis a little bit at the same time. Does that mean you move Johnson to the three? I don't hate it. But there's a lot of unique things they can do. Porzingis is great in the pick and roll, so I think there's some options there too. We also don't really know how healthy Porzingis really is, right? Like he
Yeah.
barely played in the playoffs when the Celtics really needed him. So it's a team that I think has a lot of potential. Trey Young is someone I'm hoping they underprice early in the season. This season, he's primed to explode. But outside of that, there's a lot of wait and see for me.
Another thing I'll mention since you mentioned Trey Young too, and
Mhm.
if you've followed our show, before, one thing we always say is play guards against Trey Young. So just wanted to throw that out there too.
That trend will not stop at any point. It's just the kind of guy he is. I
Yep.
like him this year for DFS, but we're also going to play the other side of it too. The Celtics, they're a lot more disappointing just because, of course, Tatum's hurt. They lost Drew Holiday. Al Horford is gone. And then they brought in Simons and Boucher. Uh, there's not really a lot to like here. Am I missing something, or what do you think?
No, definitely losing Tatum. I know they haven't ruled him out for the whole season yet, but I mean, he essentially is going to miss the whole season because I think right now they have April 1st as a potential return date, but
Mhm.
I mean, playoffs start in the middle of towards the end of April, so he'll essentially miss the beginning of the season. So yeah, this team, I mean, they might be okay DFS wise, but as far as playoff contention is going to be a rough year for them this year. I believe they still have some star power between Jalen Brown and Derek White, but just the supporting cast around, it might be a bit tougher for them to hang around. So there'll definitely be some spots we can attack DFS wise, but yeah, overall, it's not a team that's very exciting in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, just so you all know, these are projected starting lineups up here. It doesn't guarantee this is going to be the way it actually is week one, or when the season actually starts, but it's worth at least just kind of seeing what some of these projected starting lineups are. Tatum pissed me off so much when I saw I might come back this year. It's like, if you don't sit your ass
He
down.
needs to be like Dame, where Dame's like, I ain't coming back this year.
I'm done. He he loves Kobe, and Kobe did that, but it didn't really work for Kobe either because he got hurt later that season.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Tatum, just rest up.
Yeah. One other thing I'll say, which we've mentioned him all the time, is Boucher. Like,
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this is a team where he's finally unleashed. So DFS wise, especially if he's priced really low, like he'll be someone on my radar.
Yeah. Early season, this is a team that it all will depend on pricing. So I'm not going to make any grand statements here, but I think I'll be a little bit heavier on the Celtics than a lot of people will be. Boucher, I will definitely be taking shots on. Brown being really the main guy here at this point is someone that I think could have a little bit of upside in some soft matchups. And then Pritchard and Simons too, I think are just Simmons, right? Simmons, or is it Simons?
Simons.
Simons. Yeah. Are both guys I think could have a lot of upside this season as well. So Celtics aren't going to be a good team, but for DFS purposes, they could be a little sneaky because they're getting slept on.
Simons is look pretty decent in preseason so far too. He's chucking those threes, which we knew that would be the case. So he can for sure be a sneaky guy, depending on price, of course.
Yeah. All right. Oh, we're starting off with some gross teams down here. Next up, we have the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets, I believe the biggest thing they lost was Cam Johnson going to the Nuggets. Big boost for Johnson, big negative for the Nets. The Nets, in return, got Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. hasn't shown us that much so far throughout his career to give us a lot of faith that he can really move the needle for the Nets, but we'll see. And I mean, Terrence Mann was added. There's really not too much to like about the Nets from a addition standpoint. Am I missing anything here, or was there a signing that stood out to you?
Not really. We didn't really like the Nets too much last season. Of course, there were moments where the starters sat and we played a bunch of their cheap guys because they were value. So I'm sure that'll be the case at some point this year. But yeah, overall, the people they lost and people they've added, this team is still just kind of it's just pretty ugly here. They're in rebuild mode, so it's going to be hard to trust some of these main guys, especially Cam Thomas. I know they've been having some issues with him and his contract. I know he signed like a minimum extension.
For only 1 year, which is crazy.
So I'm curious if he's going to let that affect his performance. We know MPJ is super inconsistent, so who knows how he's going to play for this team. I mean, someone like him should stand out on a team like this, but you just never know with him. And then Claxton, same with him. He's someone who should stand out, and we've seen stealing games from him, but he's just so inconsistent. So this team will be very hard to trust for sure.
Yeah, the thing I'm looking for here, and it's going to be a common trend for all these bad teams, I'm looking for them to be underpriced.
Yeah.
If MPJ, Cam Thomas are underpriced, and especially in softer matchups or positive game environments, that's where we want to attack. It wouldn't shock me if MPJ is a little bit overpriced to start the season because of the role he should have, but we'll have to see. And like you said, Claxton, he should have a better year this year, but I feel like we can say that about him every year. So
yeah,
who knows?
One guy I will mention too, he's a rookie who's getting a lot of hype, is Demon. He will be somebody I keep an eye on. I won't say I'm going to play him or load up on him during their first game, but he'll be somebody I keep on my radar because he's a rookie who, like I said, is getting a lot of hype. So him and Danny Wolf too, if he ever gets in a position where he gets to start, both of those guys will be on my radar. Another thing I saw too is they waived Timmy and Whitehead, so that kind of frees up a little more space for some of their front court. So still kind of a muddy situation with some of the other guys they've added, but at least a couple more guys gone. So
yeah, I mean, at this point, if I'm the Nets, I'm hoping to move Wolf into like that power forward slot, play the 4, because Clowney is not doing anything out there. So you might as well get the young guys some time on the court, but we'll see. Just so you all know, we work with DFS Army. DFS Army has been the tool that has helped both of us take down tournaments. I said it in our last show. We've both won 4, 5, 6-figure wins, and DFS Army has been how we've done that. We both do video content, but we also both write cheat sheets to give people advice. And we have a ton of other great NBA coaches too who do the full breakdowns and help out in the Discord as well. So if you're not a member, click the link in the description or just go to DFS Army's website and join now. Next Tuesday, we are kicking off 2 gamers, already looking like a good one. So it should be fun. But back to the subject at hand, we have the Charlotte Hornets. My Hornets, they're never a team I can be too proud of. But I feel like they're moving in the right direction. They're making moves that at least make sense to me. Mark Williams is gone, which just makes the center situation even worse. Nurkic is also gone. They lost a lot of their really bad guards. And they brought in Colin Sexton. We found out today Spencer Dinwiddie was let go. He was added to the team earlier this year, and then he was cut right before it starts, just for saving salary and stuff like that. But Colin Sexton joined the team, and Mason Plumlee is back with the Hornets as well. Hard to get excited here, right? Or what are your thoughts, Brandon?
Yeah, of course, I worry about LaMelo and Miller's health and whether they can play majority of the season. I'm sure there'll be times where they do load management and watch how many games they play, probably on some back-to-backs too, but hoping they can stay healthy. Of course, it'll come down to pricing, especially on LaMelo, because I mean, if he's underpriced on a slate, then I'll for sure play him.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Miller, but yeah, if they're too expensive, then I'm of course not going to be excited to play him. Con Knipple, he's one of my favorite rookies, so I'm very excited to see him on his team. I feel like perfect spot for him. He should be able to do well in this situation. And Miles Bridges, he's had some great games last year too, mainly with Miller and ball out. He kind of took over, so I'm sure there'll be times where we can attack him too. And then, like you said, I'm definitely not really excited about this front court because I can see them kind of splitting minutes and rotating all 3 of their guys here. So,
But okay.
All right, now you can go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say for DFS purposes, though, you will love seeing the Hornets on every
Oh
single slate.
yeah, Bigs
Because
against
this
Hornets.
team, they are going to give up points everywhere. There's not a defensive bone in almost any of their bodies, and especially at the center position. We've been saying it for years, Brandon.
Yeah,
Bigs against the
that is
Hornets.
true.
Other people started to kind of take it too, but I'm pretty sure we said it first. Like we were
Yeah, for
hitting them
sure.
hard from the get go,
For
and like I
years.
said, their center position has only gotten worse. And there's not really anyone that can stop any of the talented bigs in the league right now. So the Hornets aren't looking too great from a real life perspective, but for DFS, we're happy to see them on every slate, and we're going to load up against them.
I am excited to see Colin Sexton too. I think
Yeah.
that's a very solid bench piece for this team. So there'll definitely be times, especially when there's times where either LaMelo or Miller miss a game. Colin should be able to step up big time there. So he'll be somebody I keep on my radar as well.
This team should be a fast-paced team, and Sexton just kind of helps with that. And this team, best case scenario, I think they could be a play-in team, to be honest.
I love watching LaMelo play too. Like, I don't know if you've seen highlights from their last preseason game, but Melo did like this nutmeg and then just like threw this crazy alley-oop to, I think it was to Miller. And I love him because it's just like he's playing on the playground, like
That's it.
like street ball. He just has fun when he hoops.
Yeah, IQ might not always be there,
Yeah,
but he's gonna have a good time, and we're gonna have a good time watching him. Which I'm here for. So that's the Hornets for you. Next up, we have the Chicago Bulls, who I think I was higher on before I started looking closer at this roster. Now I'm a little bit more concerned. Departures, Lonzo Ball has gone to the Cavs. People who they've brought in, Isaac Okoro is now with the Bulls. He left the Cavs. And when you look at this team, if Giddey isn't as good or better than he was last year, they're trading guys away. Like, you're losing Vucevic, you're losing Kobe White, and things are looking ugly. But if Giddey's great or Kobe White really steps up, they could compete. I just don't think it's super likely. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And overall, it's not really an exciting team. I mean, we'll have our couple spots like Giddey. I do think he has another strong year. Once they got rid of Levine, that one of their final pieces between him and DeRozan, like you kind of saw him like get back to old OKC Giddey where he was just putting up solid numbers, close to triple double numbers. So I do think he'll have another strong year. Um, Kobe White, he's just kind of meh. He's another inconsistent player who's very frustrating at times. So I
Good
hope he
when
can
Giddey's
be
out, though.
a bit more consistent. That'll be very important for this Bulls team to have any kind of success. Okoro, he's never exciting to play. I don't think he's really a needle mover at all on this team. If you watched our best ball video that we did the other week, you know, Buzelis is like, I'm a huge fan of him, and I've been touting him, and I think he has a breakout year this season. So he's definitely somebody I'll be keeping on my radar for DFS purposes. And then Vooch, for him, as always, I guess it'll just depend on matchups as far as attacking him for DFS. That we will play him here and there, but not someone we're overly confident with. So yeah, overall, this is another man team, just a couple gems
And
here and there. Yeah,
imagine Vucevic to the Lakers. That would be an
yeah.
awesome trade. But
I
for
will.
now, oh, go ahead. What?
One more thing I was going to say too, with especially with Lonzo gone, I'm hoping Trey Jones will kind of step up a bit more off the bench and kind of take over as a kind of one of the key backup guys. So I'm curious to see how he'll do this year.
Yeah, I mean, they have some solid backup guys like Trey Jones, Ayo Dosunmu, Kevin Herter. Like, I don't hate their depth. It's just they don't have any superstar talent besides
Yeah.
maybe Giddey. And then I agree with you on Buzelis. Like, he definitely has a ton of potential this season as well, but we'll see. He's someone I'm hoping, once again, is a little underpriced. We'll have to keep an eye out for it. Next up, we have the Cavs, who are the favorites for the East this year. No question there. The departures aren't really that bad. There's Isaac Okoro, who's a solid defensive player. Ty Jerome had his moments, but not losing any major pieces. And you're bringing in someone like Lonzo Ball, who's looked pretty good in the preseason so far. Larry Nance Jr., he's had some solid efficiency so far throughout his career, but not a star player. And then Thomas Bryant's just like a depth piece. Nothing too crazy there. How are you feeling about the Cavs, Brandon?
Yeah, kind of like you said, they should be pretty strong coming out of the East again. They're always one of the top contenders, but can never like quite get there towards the end of the season. So I know Darius Garland will miss a bit of time, so that'll definitely help. Guys like Lonzo and Craig Porter, even Proctor, he's another guy who's a rookie. That's somebody I've been kind of looking out for. He's looked good in the preseason so far, but definitely Lonzo would be the guy to watch out for at point guard. I know they said they would monitor his time too, especially on back-to-back, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that as well. And then another guy, well, Donovan Mitchell. Again, if you've ever seen our show, I tout Donovan Mitchell quite a bit, especially when he's super low owned and at a great price. Like, he's one of my favorite leverage pieces to attack. So he'll be somebody I'll be looking forward to play. And then DeAndre Hunter too is another one. I'm very excited to see his role kind of get bigger this year.
Yeah.
So
With the
yeah,
core
should
going, I
should be
think it only
another
helps.
strong year for them.
Agreed. And I'm with you. Donovan Mitchell, I don't really care what his price is. I'm going to play him, especially early in the season. Once Garland comes back, it becomes a little bit more hit or miss for me. But with Garland gone and Strus out, I'm just going to be very heavy on Donovan Mitchell until proven otherwise. So yeah, we like the Cavs. No surprise there. Next up, we have the lucky as hell Dallas Mavericks. So they lost Spencer Dinwiddie. Not really a big deal for them at this point, but they brought in D'Angelo Russell and Dennis Smith Jr. The important thing about the Mavs is just that Kyrie's out, so the point guard situation is a bit of a question mark right now. And everything really hinges on the health of Anthony Davis. And of course, Cooper Flag was drafted to this team. What are your thoughts on the Mavs, man?
This is going to be one of the, at least on paper, they should be one of the top teams in the West. Like, this team is just stacked. Like, just look, especially when Kyrie comes back, if he can come back healthy, like their starting line. And then when you look at their depth, like their depth is just insane to me. So this team would be exciting to watch for sure. There might be some slates where they're frustrating to play for DFS wise, but as far as that, D'Lo, that's my guy. He can be inconsistent for sure, but he's won me a lot of money in the past. And when he's priced right and that ownership is low, like he has that potential ceiling for sure. So with Kyrie out, I look for him to have a solid start to the season.
He's in the perfect spot for him right
Yeah,
now.
seriously.
No
Seriously.
Kyrie. You have until the start of the year to really show what you have, D'Lo. Let's see.
And then got to mention Cooper Flag. I'm sure he's going to be priced really high for their first game. So I can't say I'm excited to play him DFS wise, but just as a fan of basketball, like I'm definitely excited to watch him this year for sure. So I'm just ready to see like what his actual ceiling is because, like I said before, he's not somebody like Wemby where we know he's gonna like just be a superstar right away. Like Cooper Flag has that potential, but it's just a little different with him. So I'm very curious to see his usage and his ceiling with his team. And then AD is AD. When he's healthy, I love playing him. So I don't think anything's going to change here. And then never too excited with the centers with the way they split Lively and Gafford. So we always attack one or the other when one sits. I'm sure that'll be the same case this year.
Yeah, and the main question mark for me of Cooper Flag is how aggressive will he be? I know preseason he's been pretty good, but I don't really care about preseason that much. I just need to see in the regular season game how aggressive will he be from a scoring standpoint. I'm sure he can get rebounds. He'll play well defensively. I believe he'll do pretty well getting assists as long as Klay Thompson hits his shots. But I just need to make sure he's being aggressive. And so, like you said, as long as he's pretty expensive at the start of the season, I'll feel pretty okay with not prioritizing him. But if he's cheaper than he should be, which we see sometimes with these rookies, then I might feel pressured to take the shot. It just depends.
Yep.
So, interesting team. And that was a really good call out. This team will piss us off this year, guaranteed, because of all the depth they have. Some of these guys who are on the bench could be starters for some of the other teams.
Seriously.
And if they have a hot hand for one of the runs they get, we might see less D'Lo minutes. We might see less Klay Thompson minutes. These are guys who aren't always going to see a full rotation, and that's just the way they're coached.
One more guy I wanted to mention, especially with Kyrie out, one more guy we need to keep an eye out for is Ryan Nembhard, Andrew Nembhard's little brother. Okay. That guy's a straight baller. If he starts to get minutes or for whatever reason, if D'Lo is just sucking and they decide to go with him more at point guard, mark my words, like go back to this video. And I want y'all to remember that B-Dub or Brandon said Nembhard is the guy or going to be the guy because he's that good. So
that's why you watch this show, for those calls that you aren't hearing anyone else talk about. Ryan Nembhard here. I love that. That's good. That's good. All right. Next up, we have the Denver Nuggets, a team that I think is fine. They lost Michael Porter Jr., but they upgraded, in my opinion, to Cam Johnson. Dario Saric is now gone. They brought in Jonas Valanciunas, who doesn't really want to be there, but's there. Cam Johnson, Tim Hardaway Jr. is now here, and then Bruce Brown is back with the Nuggets. Do you see Jokic say, like, he made some comment where he was like, he was bad everywhere else, but he's back here, so we'll make him better. Like
Yep.
some really weird, like semi-passive aggressive comment.
Yeah, that's pretty
You can't
funny.
make me hate Jokic. I love that guy.
But yeah, overall, this should be another solid team in the West. I do think this team got better too. We already talked about MPJ and how inconsistent he is. So I think Cam version is a better version of MPJ and should fit perfectly with this team. He's a much more efficient shooter, and he's done really well at expanding his game and other aspects. So really, really solid pickup for them. And then even like some of these bench players like Valanciunas, Tim Hardaway, he had a lot of like selling games last year for the Pistons, and even Bruce Brown, where he's kind of not really been relevant for a while, but we know when he was with his team before, like he was one of those key guys coming off the bench and brought a lot of fire to this team. So definitely excited to watch this team, but kind of like some of the other teams, there's just so much talent on this team. They might be frustrating at times for DFS. So we'll just have to pick and choose our spots here and there throughout the season.
Yeah, this is one of those teams where when there's an injury, it's going to dramatically impact some of these other guys. And honestly, I even think guys like Jamal Murray might be getting slept on a little bit with him now being healthier this season. The Nuggets I like. I like them even from like a DFS standpoint. Of course, Jokic is always going to be Jokic, but I'm interested in seeing if Aaron Gordon takes a bit of a decline, if Cam Johnson's a bit more aggressive with scoring, because we know he's a bit more consistent than MPJ. Aaron Gordon benefited a little bit with MPJ missing a lot of shots. Aaron Gordon was able to get a decent amount of offensive rebounds that way. So Gordon's the one I'm a little nervous about, but Jamal Murray, Cam Johnson, and Jokic, I think I'll be over the field on pretty often. All right. Next up, we have the Detroit Pistons, a team that's on the come up. They lost Fontecchio. Where'd he go? He went to the Heat. Tim Hardaway Jr., we just talked about him. Schroeder's gone. Waiters is gone as well. And then we have Javonte Green joining this team. Karis LeVert joined as well. And Duncan Robinson is now on the Pistons. I think the Pistons are a team I always wish would take more of a swing to kind of get some more talent, but they're still looking pretty good this year. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. They have some solid pieces here. Cade, that dude is just a absolute star. Um, I wish I remembered all the numbers, but I saw a stat line where it showed his averages for the last 3 years, and each year he's just gotten better and better. So I'm looking forward to see if he can kind of like step up even more. I'm not saying that he needs to because he had a hell of a year last year. Jaden Ivey, it sucks he'll miss the start of the season. I was going to say I'm looking forward to seeing him come back healthy, but I think he's out till towards the end of November because he had surgery on his knee to get that better. So hopefully when he comes back from that, he'll be good for the rest of the year because he's somebody else who's young and has a lot of potential, and we've seen selling games from him in the past. Azar, of course, he's not as good as his brother, but I'm hoping he can step up for sure too because he's someone else who has a lot of potential. Tobias is Tobias. Very inconsistent guy, but that potential ceiling is there. And then Duran, he's a pretty solid big, so I'm sure there'll be spots for us to pick on here, DFS wise. And then I think LeVert, he can be an inconsistent guy too, but he's usually a pretty good guy to have in like your 6-man role, so he should be pretty solid off the bench, especially if any guys miss here. I'm curious to see what they do with Ivy missing the start of the season. And then my sneaky guy on the bench will be Ron Holland. He's somebody who just has been looking really good lately. He had a great summer league, doing good in preseason. So if any of these other starters miss and we get a Ron Holland start, he's another guy that I'll be targeting for sure.
Brandon, I appreciate you. Like, you stay locked in all
Yeah.
off season. You're plugged in, and you're talking about these guys like Ron Holland. My brain was like, oh, Duncan Robinson, no Jaden Ivey. But I mean, the young guy is the one who really should benefit the most here if the Pistons are being smart. So I like that. That's a good call. Uh, Duran, as long as he's not in foul trouble, he's great. But it's the foul trouble that has always
Yeah.
ruined his upside. But this season, I think I'm pretty high on him. So again, everything will come down to pricing and matchups. But Duran's someone that I think could be a little sneaky this year, hoping and praying he's learned how to keep his hands to himself
Yeah.
in the offseason.
Yeah, that is a huge downfall with him. He can't stay out of foul trouble.
Yeah, one of these days.
And then hopefully Isaiah Stewart won't get any fights this year, because I know that's usually his thing.
No, he can. He's on the bench though, so I'm probably
Yeah.
not playing him in DFS. So if he gets kicked out, it only helps the guy I'm probably Duran, who I probably have exposure to. All right. Next up, we have the Golden State Warriors, old man team at this point. They got rid of Looney. He's now gone. Al Horford's now here. Signed a multi-year deal. I talked about that on the Best Ball show. It's really annoying. Seth Curry joined this team, and Kuminga re-signed, or really the main points of emphasis. But this team is really the same team we've known for a while now. Not too much has changed here. How are you thinking about them?
Yeah, DFS wise, they're still going to be a frustrating team unless somebody's out. So once Curry is out and he sits, then we can attack some guys like we usually do, or Butler. If he's out, we can target some guys. But outside of that, when everybody's healthy, not really excited to play this team. I'm very confused on the multi-year contract for Al Horford. Just don't understand it. But if anything, they made it that much easier to not play their bigs
Yep.
because they were frustrating before. But with him in the picture, guys who had big roles last season like Quentin Post and Jackson Davis, it's going to hurt them big time. So I'm sure there'll be times where Horford's out, and if these guys are value, there might be some spots there. But yeah, another team I'm not too excited for DFS wise, to be honest.
Like, I can't even be excited. Or I don't even feel bad for Kuminga anymore. I used to be like,
Yeah,
oh, he's not getting time. He deserves it. He's such a good player. But he re-signed with the same team that's not giving him time. And
yeah,
so I don't feel bad for him anymore.
yeah.
It-
I feel like I mean, the fact that they did that, like, I just don't understand it if Kerr doesn't give him more time, but it is Kerr, so you never know. But
you should- like, I don't expect logic here. And when I saw the Kuminga deal come through, I was like, oh, this is going to be easy money. We can play him now in DFS. And low key, I still want to, especially if he's going to be super low owned. But then I remembered the Al Horford deal, and I was like, well, no, this doesn't make as much sense anymore, because how is he going to be out there if you have Al Horford out there? It just doesn't make a lot of sense right now. But I do think they need to start to utilize him a lot more. And so as long as we're on the same page and his contract is speaking towards what they actually want to do for the future, could have a little bit of upside here. So something to keep an eye out on. And then you're right. This team, outside of that, really just looking for when someone goes down, and someone will go down for periods of time. So we'll be able to take our shots, but not going to get too cute early in the season. All right. Next up, we have the Houston Rockets. This is the team with all of the changes and probably one of the more hyped teams at this point. They lost Dylan Brooks, which was only a blessing for them. Jalen Green's now gone. They lost some other more role players. And then they brought in Clint Capella, Kevin Durant, the one and only. And then Dorian Finney-Smith is here as well. Those are really the main key pieces here. One important thing that happened in the offseason that lowered my excitement for the Rockets a little bit is that Fred VanVleet is going to be out for the entire season. And so I still like this team like everyone else, but their ceiling lowered just with that injury for me. What are your thoughts here, though?
yeah, that's really unfortunate for Van Vliet. That I hated seeing that. He can be a frustrating DFS player for sure, but you never want to see something like that happen to a guy. So definitely hope for a speedy recovery for him. But with him gone, that opens up a lot of other things on this team. So I'm very excited to see KD play without a doubt. I don't think he'll have any issues being who he is here. But one guy I'm really, really excited for that I'm been touting quite a bit this year is Amen Thompson. That dude is just he's a star in the making. I mean, if you don't consider him a star now, he will for sure be a star after this year. Like he's another guy like I'm just putting my money down on as somebody kind of just taking that next step in the league. So I'm very excited to see him, and he'll be somebody I'm targeting quite a bit during the first night of
Yep.
DFS on the 2-gamer. So
Yeah, he's another guy that for me there is no price tag that's too expensive. Fred VanVleet only benefits things for Amon. He should have more ball handling duties. He should be able to take more shots. That's not necessarily a guarantee, but it wouldn't shock me if we see him go off. I'm with you. I'm going to have exposure early, but even if he starts off a little rocky, I'm not going to give up on him here. This is just a spot that should benefit all of these guys. Any other guards that you think could be a little sneaky? I've heard people talk about Shepard.
yes, so which I've seen other potential lineups with Reed Shepard starting. So he's somebody else that I'm expecting to take that next step, especially with Van Vliet out, and somebody I'll probably be targeting quite a bit on the first slate of the season is Shepard. He just, especially this offseason during summer league, like he's just ready for it, and they would be stupid not to give him more minutes and a bigger role. So I wouldn't be surprised if they shifted Amen over to point guard and started Shepard at the 2. So he's probably my other favorite guard on this team. Aaron Holiday isn't really much of anything, so um, I'm not really excited about him. But Reed Shepard for sure, and then Jabari and Eason, they'll kind of be hard to get excited for DFS wise just because of the way they split their minutes, and they already said that there were going to be points in the season where they run the big lineup with Şengün and Steven Adams too. So when they do that, that kind of hurts those two. And then Capella would be interesting to see on this team too, but not very excited for. I think like NBA, like real life wise, he'll be a solid piece, but for DFS, not someone I'm too excited to play.
Man, 3 solid bigs. That's
Yeah,
a
it's
little
crazy.
crazy.
Some teams are like begging for one
I know.
solid big, so the fact that they have this depth at center like is crazy.
Yeah. This is also a team I'm not excited to play guys against. They should be a pretty solid defensive team this year. We'll see if there's any cracks there. Maybe you can pick on the guard spot a little, really point guard, but the way teams play defense now, you're not really looking at specific matchups. So we'll see, but not trying to be too aggressive there, especially early in the season. Next up, we have the Indiana Pacers. They lost Miles Turner to the Bucks. Makes no sense, but it is what it is. They lost Thomas Bryant, and then Jay Huff joined this team. Of course, Tyrese Halliburton out for the season, right? He's out for the season.
Yes.
Hallie? Yeah.
Yep.
And then TJ McConnell also got hurt recently and should be out for roughly a month, right?
Yep.
Cool. Outside of that, this team, they're not going to make the finals, but they're not an awful team. I think what you're really looking for is Mathern and Nimbart to step up to the plate here, and I think they should. From a DFS standpoint, I'm hoping they're cheap, and I plan on being overweight on them is my plan. And then, of course, they still have Siakam. Center is going to be a weakness for them, so I'm hoping they play at a bit of a faster pace. But that's how I'm seeing things. How are you seeing it, Brandon?
Yeah, this will be another team, like especially on the opposing side, like when you have a team playing these guys, like they're probably going to be some guys we want to target because they should continue to play at a fast pace, and I think they will struggle a bit more defensively. So I'll be looking to play guys against them. But Yeah, outside of that, I'm looking forward to Andrew Nemhart. We know he has the talent and should excel with No Halley, and even more so with No McConnell. He should play as many minutes as he can handle. Same with Matherin. Looking forward to those two guys. And then we know Spicy P, Siakam. He's the quote unquote stud on the team without Halley. So I'm sure they'll for sure be, especially if the price is right, a lot of times where we can target him. And then center situation is just another ugly one where you don't really know where they're going. They can easily split the minutes between all three of these guys. So not looking forward to that, but definitely again looking forward to targeting them with the opposing center. So
Yeah, I agree. This is also another team that will piss you off for sure because there is no telling between Nimbard, Matherin, and Nesmith who's going to be the hot hand. And it might be none of them some nights. So, a team I like more than most, but you can't go too crazy on them until someone really steps up to the plate. All right. Clippers are next. They didn't really lose too many pieces. I mean, Powell's gone. He went to the Heat, but he wasn't really doing too much for this team by the time he left. Bradley Beal is joining this team, another guy who really wasn't doing too much, but people are pretty optimistic with Beal now at this point. John Collins is coming over from the Jazz. Brooke Lopez is coming over. Chris Paul's having his farewell tour with the Clippers this year as well. And so there's a good amount of optimism here for the Clippers. Of course, there's the Kawhi Leonard situation that's kind of looming in the background, but at this point, with the information we have, they look pretty good on paper. What do you think?
yeah, I agree 100%. This is another team in the West. Like on paper, they should be up there as one of the top contenders coming out of the West. Um, Hopefully this season, I mean, they're known for especially Harden disappearing in the playoffs. Bearing any injuries, I do think they will have a strong season. And when you look at this team, like even the bench, like they just have really nice depth. Will be frustrating at times DFS wise, especially when they're all healthy, just because so many mouths to feed, especially just between Harden and Kawhi, is going to be hard trying to pick which one of those two are going to smash. Um, but yeah, hopefully Bill can stay healthy and prove he's not washed because he hasn't been looking too hot lately. So hopefully this is a perfect environment for him. And then I've always been a huge fan of John Collins. So I'm very excited to see him here because he's somebody with some sneaky upside that might get slept on. So if his price is right, I'll be targeting him for sure. And then Zubac, he had probably his best year last year. Like he kind of, especially
He
when he
did.
started out having those selling games, he kind of took me by surprise with what he was doing and just kind of was consistent throughout the whole year. So excited to see how he does again this year. And as far as the bench guys, there's definitely some potential there if any of the starters sit, but no one I'm too thrilled about DFS wise.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I mean, I'm not hoping Beal does well. I'm hoping he goes right into the Powell role so I can just focus on Leonard and Harden. And John Collins, this is purely narrative driven. He's always struck me as the kind of guy who doesn't really care too much until it matters. And now that he's on a team that should be competitive and should be close in games, this feels like when John Collins really kind of steps up to the plate. So I like these guys for DFS, and all of them are typically relatively low owned. So again, I don't think we'll have to go too crazy in DFS to be able to benefit on taking some shots on these guys. The only thing I do worry about is pace, but we'll see what happens there. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Lakers. Uh, Lakers didn't really lose anyone too important, worth mentioning. They did bring in DeAndre Ayton and Marcus Smart. The big thing for the Lakers, as we found out, was it last week, this week? I don't remember. LeBron
Yeah.
James is hurt, and he's going to be out for how long?
I think up to a month, 3 to
Yeah,
4 weeks.
yeah, with some nerve thing he's dealing with. And so we have Luka Doncic on a team with not too many scorers once again. So for me, this whole month is just going to be load up on Luca,
Yeah.
and I don't really care about anything else. But what do you think, man?
Yeah, LeBron being out, no one was expecting that, and they stated that they're gonna take their time with bringing him back. So
Thank
I
you.
wouldn't be surprised if he missed even more time. But for now, I know they're projecting up to 4 weeks. So, but yeah, especially this coming first slate with the Lakers on the slate, I'm not saying anything surprising here, but when LeBron's out, you just load up on Luka. So that's what we'll be doing for sure, and we'll say that again when we have our pre-lock show that night. But yeah, love Luka. I'm excited to see Luka because Fat Luka has hung his boots, and we have Skinny Luka now. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see like how different he plays now. And then Austin Reeves, especially without LeBron, he should be somebody else behind Luca, who's kind of like that second option on this team. And then Aiton, I still have a question mark on him because he's just kind of scaring me with how he's been playing in the preseason and what he said in that one interview where he's just kind of mainly focused on defense. Because again, I'm all for you being like for defense and trying to improve it, but especially with LeBron out, like you're going to be needed on the offensive side too. So
Hmm.
not rolling him out just yet, but he's kind of a wait and see approach for now, I would say. And then
I'm surprised
other
you didn't
guys,
mention Vincent with him doing well in the preseason.
yeah, he kind of went crazy in that last preseason game. I think he made like 6 threes or something like
Yeah.
that. So he'll unfortunately be somebody we have to keep on our radar. But I'm not going to jump the gun there too much, especially with Marcus Smart coming off the bench too. So it'll be hard to kind of determine which of those two guys to go with, and then LaRavia and Connect too. There'll be some value options too for this first slate. So it's kind of hard to determine how JJ is going to run some of these bench guys, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, my main focus, like everybody else's, would be Luca for sure.
Yeah. I might need you to talk me off the ledge on Tuesday with taking too much exposure to Reeves, just because I know he's going to be low owned. And already I'm just like, he can be explosive. He can be a scorer. It
We've
doesn't
seen it
seem like
before.
anyone really values him, but I think he could be good. We'll see. And I'm with you on Aiton. I would love to be surprised here, and he's just chilling in the preseason. And once the regular season goes, he's like, "All right, I have my defensive skill set down. Now I can really go." But yeah, Luca's
I
really the guy here.
I do like Vanderbilt too for this first slate because he's center eligible too, and will be a nice value piece and
Ooh, I
somebody
love that.
I'm expecting his role to increase with LeBron out too. So just wanted to mention him as well.
Yeah, honestly, without a doubt, on a 2 game slate, Vanderbilt or Rui are going to be in the nuts. It's just the way it is, and we'll talk more about that on Tuesday. But I don't really have a doubt there. Next up, we have the Memphis Grizzlies, a team that I just have always wanted to be good, but they're just never really good. They lost Cole Anthony. Desmond Bain is gone, which hurts a lot. He went to the Magic, a team I like a lot this year. Huff's gone. Kennard's gone. Nothing really matters there. They didn't really get anyone that great besides Ty Jerome, who, of course, had a solid playoff, but not much outside of that. KCP's here, but he's been a lot of nothing here recently. So really, we're really just looking at Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. and a lot of nobodies.
Yeah.
Are you seeing things differently, or who
No,
do you
I'm
like?
seeing it the same way. Overall, this team will probably struggle in the West. The West is so tough, and I just don't see them competing with some of the other teams we've already mentioned. So it's definitely Ja and Jaren Jackson. Of course, with Jackson, got to worry about foul trouble with him. But I think he played in the preseason last night or the night before, whatever it was, and it looks like he's going to be ready to go for the start of the season because I know that was in question, along with Clark and Edie missing the start. So he might be somebody we can target with, especially with those two out. And then Ty Jerome will be for sure somebody I'm looking out for because I'm sure there'll be times where Ja misses some time, especially if he's stupid and has another incident like last year. So Ty Jerome, we've seen him smash with Cleveland, so he'll have his moments for sure. And I think Scottie Pippen Jr. is worth mentioning too because he's had a lot of moments here too.
True. Yeah, no, you beat me to it. I was like, Ty Jerome, if you're doing basketball fantasy drafts, get a little bit of Ty Jerome in the late rounds because there's no chance in hell John Morant doesn't miss a little bit of time, whether it's from extracurricular activities or injuries. It's just something that tends to happen with him pretty consistently at this point. But Ja, of course, is someone we'll play in DFS when it's appropriate. Another rough team. We have the Miami Heat. They didn't really lose anyone super important. I mean, Kyle Anderson, Slow-Mo is gone, Kevin Love's gone, Duncan Robinson. These are just all older guys who just got a lot of minutes but didn't do a lot last year. I mean, Anderson had his moments, but in general, not a lot. They brought in Fontecchio, Davion Mitchell, Norman Powell, and Precious Achua. I said that like those are meaningful, but I mean, outside of Davion Mitchell, I don't really think so. How are you feeling about the Heat?
Yeah, so with Hira expected to miss, I think he's supposed to come back in the middle of November, so he'll miss a decent amount of time. Without him, I'm definitely looking at Davion Mitchell. We've seen him have some solid games, and he's a great defender. We've seen time after time again, so he's somebody I'll be looking out for. Norman Powell, we've seen like the times where Kawhi was out. We've seen Powell step up big time for the Clippers. So I'm hoping he can do the same here because he can be somebody sneaky that the field might not be on starting out of the year. So especially if his price is right, somebody we can look towards. Wiggins, I'm never too thrilled about him. He's just another one of those inconsistent guys and frustrating because we know that ceiling is there with him, but doesn't always hit it, unfortunately. And then Bam is Bam. There'll be times where we can target him. I mainly it's just matchup dependent for me because he can be inconsistent at time, especially for his price. When he doesn't hit his ceiling, he'll definitely hurt you for sure. And then another guy I'm really huge on this year, and it's all up to Spoelstra giving him the time
Yeah.
and the usage is Khalil Ware because this dude has been crushing this offseason, is looking really good. He's creating more shots and just scoring the ball really well this offseason. So definitely looking forward to him this year and somebody else I'm hoping will be very low owned on their first slate, which I'm sure he will be.
Yeah.
And
I
then
mean, Ware had some moments last year too. Who
yeah,
else do you like?
he did. And then one guy off the bench that I'm really excited for, similar to Kalau, who's been having a great offseason, and Spoelstra already said how much he loves him, is Jovic. He's probably my favorite piece coming off the bench.
No, I get it. And I talked about it a lot at the start of this, but one of these Miami Heat players between like Powell, Wiggins, and Bam will be underowned. Especially, I think the next Wednesday is when not underowned but underpriced. Uh, there's like a 10 or 12 game slate. These guys are definitely going to fall through the crack. I need to look at the matchup a little bit closer. But with Hero out, this is when I want to go a little bit over on some of these guys I think could be explosive, like Powell, Wiggins, and Bam. Those are the three. And then Powell already is the one I'm prioritizing, but I'm hoping he's the cheap one. And they price up Wiggins a little bit with Hero out, but we'll see next week. Next week, or next up, we have the Bucks. Another really gross team. Pat Connaughton's gone. Damian Lillard's gone. Brooke Lopez is gone. And then they brought in the likes of Cole Anthony, Gary Harris, Coffee. Turner is a big deal. But outside of that, you're not feeling great looking at these additions. Then you look at the starting lineup. You have KPJ, Kevin Porter Jr., who has shown flashes, but not a lot of consistency. I think he could be a little sneaky this year. I don't give a damn about AJ Green. I don't even know why he's out there. Gary Trent Jr., he has had his moments. We can play him in some soft matchups, but not the most consistent guy. Giannis is Giannis. And then I'm excited to see what Miles Turner does. He's typically not your favorite player to play in fantasy, but I do think he'll be asked to do a bit more on this Bucks team than he was in Indiana. So he's someone I'm not shutting the option off to. How are you looking at this team?
Yeah, in real life, without DFS, like this is another team that will probably struggle. I mean, just looking at them, it's
So
gonna
ugly.
be it's very ugly. It's gonna be rough for them, to be honest. Not gonna lie. But yeah, like we mentioned earlier, Dame already said like, yeah, I'm not coming back this year. So definitely looking at KPJ and even Ryan Rollins. I've seen some iterations of this lineup where Ryan Rollins starts over KPJ because I know there were times last year where they just like KPJ coming off the bench, but could be wrong. But either way, those will be the two guys at guard you want to keep an eye out for. And then Cole Anthony, honestly, he probably won't even be on my radar unless one of those two are missing, or if it's just like a very small slate and we're looking for like a low owned guy, he might be in the mix. But outside of that, probably not someone I'm too excited to play. And then of course Giannis is Giannis. Depending on what other studs are on the slate, will dictate whether we target him or not. But I'm sure there'll be many times where we can because he's gonna have to continue to do everything here. So he'll
Yeah.
be he should have another strong fantasy year. And then I am excited about Miles Turner just because the way the Bucks play. We've seen the way he played with the Pacers where he can help space the floor and shoot the three. So I think he'll be doing that quite a bit on this team. And then there'll definitely be some games where we can target Portis like we have in the past too. And then I won't even talk about Kuzma.
Dude who should not be named. We
Yeah,
do not mention him. I
we'll
don't know
just
if he even exists anymore.
yeah,
He's
well
not in my frame of thinking.
yeah, we'll just skip over him. Same
Yeah.
with Prince. They're not really worth talking about.
Yeah, the Bucks are the opposite of like the Pacers and Hornets, where you don't like seeing them on the slate. Like if you see them on the slate, you're like, "Damn, I hope that's a low total game and no one's playing anybody from there." Even Giannis, I don't. He's like my least favorite superstar at this point,
Yeah,
and it's more of once again a narrative thing, which I think is more important in the NBA than other sports, to be honest. But it just, I don't know if the motivation's there. Morale just seems bad, and I feel like he just doesn't really want to be there. But they did sign his brother. Both brothers
yeah.
are now on the
I was
Bucks,
getting ready to say that.
so maybe now that the family's all back together, he's okay. So I'm not gonna fade Giannis or anything, but God,
Yeah, that's why I said it depends on who else is on the slate. Because if you got like Wemby or Joker, it's definitely going to be one of those guys over him.
yeah, and he'll go off every once in a blue moon, so we'll see. All right, finally back to a team with talent. All right, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Nikhil Alexander Walker's gone. That matters a good bit because Nah did see a decent amount of minutes for the Timberwolves. They didn't really bring anybody in, so they were just pretty content with what they have, which makes sense because they're a team that just needs to kind of gel a little bit more together. And so Mike Conley is still here for some reason, but outside of that, I like their starters. Taking shots on Edwards, Randall, Gobert will make sense to me as long as the price is right. And of course, it's the superstar here. He's almost always relatively low owned. And in this sounds like I'm saying almost any game environment, but in close games and soft matchups, that's where I like to play Ant. If it's just like a pretty mid matchup that has like a decent spread, but it's nothing too crazy, then that's when I'm going to prioritize other studs. Is usually the way I work with him. How are you thinking about the Timberwolves?
Yeah, this should be another solid team in the West. They're definitely, especially on bigger slates. This is a good team, kind of to your point, where you can target some low on guys. I feel like Ant gets slept on quite a bit on big slates, even Julius Randle, who we know has a lot of potential and has had ceiling games since joining this team. So definitely looking forward to those two guys in particular. Um, Two guys on the bench I'm very excited for and will be on my radar is Rob Dillingham and Terrence Shannon. Those guys should have bigger roles this year with some of the bench players they lost, especially Dillingham. I kind of wish Mike Conley would already retire so he can
No.
finally take over the spot and really step up. But
Or
even
just
with
play like a Haslam role and just like
yeah,
sit on the
seriously,
bench and be that mentor to the
yeah.
team, like coach Rob Dillingham up. But yeah, I'm with you.
But yeah, it might be harder for Shannon to get in the mix, but it should be easier for Dillingham to get in there, especially if Conley isn't performing well. So he's somebody who can definitely be sneaky at some points, and a guy I'm very high on this year,
Yeah.
especially if you're doing best ball still.
And Nas Reed, too, will also continue to be in the mix, just like he was last year. So, again, not a lot has changed here. We like the Timberwolves. They're almost always going to be a leverage play when we play them because they never see a lot of ownership. All right, the Pelicans. This is a team that's had a decent amount of changes. Bruce Brown is gone. CJ McCollum went off to the Wizards. Kelly O is out of here. And they brought in Jordan Poole from the Wizards. The guy that from the start of last season, like Poole, I feel like just was always getting crapped on in the chat. I took my shots on him here and there, but he
Yep.
definitely did not play well with the
Yeah.
Wizards. Looney is now on the Pelicans and Sadiq Bey. We also have Skinny Zion now. What I feel like all of the players that were a little chubby in the NBA are losing weight. I don't know if it's like an Ozempic thing or like what's going on. Like it's a little suspicious that now everyone besides AD is in great shape, but Skinny Zion, we should be thankful for it, I guess. And then Jordan Poole. Those are the two main guys I'm looking at here because the rest of these guys are pretty solid defensive players. Like Herb Jones has a lot of talent, but usually not the biggest DFS guy. Trey Murphy, same story. We've usually like been on point when we go for him, but usually that's when Zion's not overly active. And I'm curious to get your thoughts on like the Queen and Misi situation, but a team I like from like a real life perspective, probably a little bit more than I do from a DFS standpoint.
Yeah. This team would be interesting for sure. Kind of what you said. I'm excited to see Skinny Zion. Hopefully that'll help him stay a bit more healthy because I know all that weight and the way he plays, it was very hard to do. So should make a huge difference this year. So that'll for sure be a lot of time where we can target him. Jordan Poole, especially with DeJounte out for now, he should be out. I think until January is when he's expected to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Poole should be the guy at point guard. So especially if his price is right on a team like this, and I mean we've seen it already in preseason. He's still going to be chucking those shots, and he gets a lot of hate, but when he's hot, he's hot. So
And we
uh,
like this. Like, this is good
yeah,
because when he misses, that means more rebounds for Zion,
yep,
ideally, as long as
yeah,
Zion's good. But
yeah,
this team, like when DeJounte Murray comes back, this team could compete a little bit.
yeah. So yeah, I will be targeting Poole for sure. And then Dairy Queen and Missy. That I'll have to wait and see how they split their minutes. I
Yeah.
know I've seen something where kind of like this projected lineup is where he starts over him. So he's a rookie, another rookie that's very high on my radar, along with Jeremiah Fears. Those two are very, very good rookies and should contribute to this team immediately. Depending on the slate, there'll be two guys I keep an eye out for. And then Trey Murphy for sure can be exciting to play, but kind of like you said, mainly when Zion is out coming off the bench.
Yeah. And I'm with you with the Derek Queen Macy situation. Is one of those situations too where I'm probably just gonna trust projections a little bit early on, and then once I watch the games, I'll form more of my own opinion on who I'm gonna prioritize. So we'll just have to go from there. And again, if you're interested in projections, ownership, all that stuff, link in the description. You can use promo code BDUB, BDUBB, for a 10% discount there. All right, next up we have the Knicks, a team that didn't really do much. When it came to like losing guys, they lost Achua. Then they brought in guys like Clarkson, Brogdon, and then some bigs. This is pretty much the same team from last year, honestly, though. I mean, I think Jordan Clarkson will impact things a little bit, but at the end of the day, I'm really prioritizing Cat and Brunson, and then I'll utilize OG, Bridges, and Hart in more of like a leverage play capacity when I feel like they're under owned.
Yeah.
How are you looking at the Knicks? How do you feel about them? They're a good team.
Yeah. Yeah, this will be another one of the favorites on the East side. They're definitely up there with the top contenders. I mean, they're just pretty stout overall. Their starters are very strong, kind of like you said. I think they said the ball will kind of flow through Brunson more than anybody, but we know Cat the upside is there just as much. So those will be the two main guys, and kind of like you said for leverage pieces or even like smaller slates, guys like OG, Bridges, and Hart. That's where we can probably focus on those guys, and then coming off the bench, McBride. If Brunson were to ever miss time, he's usually pretty solid stepping into that role. I'm very excited to see Clarkson on this team. He can be very inconsistent, and he was on a horrible team with Utah
Yeah.
last year. So he's another guy, kind of like John Collins, where being in this kind of environment, I'm hoping that just makes him step up his game even more. So he'll be another solid piece off the bench. And then Yabusele is another nice piece off the bench too. I'm sure we probably won't target him unless somebody's out, but somebody for sure to keep in mind when that time comes up.
Yeah, and one thing I'll mention here is Tom Thibodeau leaving this team. It makes
Yeah,
me a little bit nervous because Tom, he's known for running his guys into the ground. He will play them all the minutes in the world. And, sadly, he's gone and he's a free agent. So there's not really a team that's as likely to do that now. So all the Knicks usually had a relatively safe floor. Now that floor safety is a little bit lower. So whereas I used to always be happy to take shots on like your OGs, your Bridges, your Hearts. As long as if they keep the same trend as last year, I'll still be willing to do that. But if those minutes fall, then I'm gonna be a little bit more nervous about that. So that's something to keep a close eye out for.
for sure. And I hated seeing that Brogdon retired too. I was really hoping for a redemption story for him, but hung it
Not
up.
in the cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he just probably wasn't fully healthy, and he just knew it was time to wrap it up.
Yep.
All right, the Oklahoma City Thunder, your reigning champions from last year. They added nobody, but they extended a lot of their key talent, which is huge for them.
Yep.
I don't even know how they did it. I didn't think they would. I thought they would probably lose somebody, but young talent, they like being there. And we're pretty much going to have the same situation from last year. SGA, Jalen Williams, and Chet are really your main DFS targets. Outside of that, you can take shots on Hartenstein. Dort will have some blow up games, but relatively inconsistent. Are you seeing things the same way, or how are you seeing these guys?
Yep, very smart on their part to lock up their young core. So
Yeah.
this should be another strong team in the West. And like you said, not much has changed here. So I'm expecting a similar season as last year. So yeah, SGA, especially when he's low owned, he's one of my favorite leverage pieces. And then, like you said, Jalen and Chet will be the other priorities. I'm sure there'll be times where we play some other pieces, especially if somebody misses time. But
Mhm.
those guys are very hard to predict just the way they run a deep rotation. So hard to get excited for everyone else outside of the three main guys here.
Yeah, the Thunder bore the hell out of me. I'm not gonna lie, and that's part of why they're always low owned, and that's why we have to continue to keep them in mind because they do still have some upside. So, same team as last year, nothing different. All right, a team I am way more excited about, the Orlando Magic. Uh, guys, they lost Cole Anthony, KCP, Gary Harris. None of that matters because they brought in Desmond Bain from the Grizzlies, who's a talented shooting guard. Tyus Jones also joined the team, which helps a little bit. I love this team, man. How do you feel about them, though?
I love this team too. Like this is another strong contender to come out of the East. They're them getting Bane, like it took me by surprise, but it
Yeah.
was such a nice pickup, and he's going to be such a nice compliment to everyone else here. A big key to this team is hopefully Jalen Suggs can stay healthy because when he's healthy, he's really, really good. So we already know how Franz and Paolo are. So I'm definitely there'll be some slates where I want to target those two for sure. And I will say, I mean, it might be frustrating, especially with Bane because we know Bane had a high usage on Memphis. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how he'll fit in with sharing the ball with Franz and Paolo. But yeah, this team is pretty stacked, and mainly off the bench will be Tyus Jones. We've seen him step up many times in the past, and then Mo Wagner, he should step up too if we ever lose Wendell.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say much more than you did here. This is a nice team on paper. I think they are primed to really explode and go off this year. The one weakness to this team is their center position. Wendell Carter Jr. is a little undersized, but he still has a ton of talent. So I'm not overly concerned about that. I do wonder if I might start to play some bigs against the Magic potentially just because of that. But I'm just gonna wait for a trend to develop. I'm not trying to lead that charge. That's a good call out on Bane. If he's a little overpriced early in the season, that could be a pretty solid fade spot if he is getting ownership. I doubt he will though, but we'll see. And then Paolo and Franz, man, when they're both healthy from a DFS standpoint, they can be very frustrating. But if you put DFS to the side, this team should be able to do whatever they want all year. So we'll see. DFS wise, if they're all priced appropriately, we'll probably be able to fade them with pretty solid consistency because I don't know if I see too many blow up spots for them. Do you? Am I seeing it wrong or how do you see it?
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think they're just gonna be good.
Yeah,
And so I'm happy for them and I'm happy for me when it comes to DFS. Having a team I don't have to worry about too much is nice. All right, back to teams I don't love. We have the Philadelphia Sixers, 76ers. Jarrett Butler left, doesn't matter. None of these guys really matter. None of the additions they did matter. This is pretty much the same team as last year, besides VJ Edgecombe, which could, Edgecombe could really help things for the Sixers. They brought back their jersey from the early 2000s, 90s. I like that. But the only thing that really matters is, does this team stay healthy? If Paul George and Embiid stay healthy, then this team could compete. If they aren't healthy like they usually aren't, then they will be trash. It's pretty much that simple for me. When Paul George and Embiid are out, I'll play Maxey and VJ. When everyone's healthy, I might take some shots on Embiid and Maxey if they're low owned, but I'm not overly excited about the situation. How are you feeling about it?
yeah, I 100% agree. Like it was a rough year last year for this team. MB, PG, and Maxi missed quite a bit of time, so there were times where we targeted this team quite a bit. And then Quentin Grimes, he's somebody who surprised me last year too because he had a lot of smash games for them. So curious to see if he can keep that up with their stars coming back this year. And then VJ is definitely another rookie who is pretty high on my radar and excited to see him play too. So looking forward to seeing what kind of impact he makes here and what kind of usage he gets. But yeah, when this team is healthy, they will be frustrating to pick DFS wise. So I think it'll just come down to the matchup and the weak spots on who they're playing and where we can attack. So
Yeah, I'm most excited about seeing the black jerseys again.
yeah.
That is it. All right, for the Suns, they lost everybody. Everybody's gone. Bradley Beal's gone. Kevin Durant's gone. Tyus Jones. Mishik is not even here anymore. Plumlee is gone as well. They brought in Dylan Brooks, one of my least favorite NBA players. Jarrett Butler's here now. Jalen Green, Mark Williams. They really revamped this Suns team. You can tell they're really now just trying to plan for the future, and they're just not caring about this season. It wouldn't shock me if we see guys like Dylan Brooks and maybe Mark Williams on the move from like trades and things of that sort as the season continues. But to me, it's only Devin Booker here. And maybe I'll take some shots on Mark Williams with him now being healthy in soft matchups, but I don't love it. It's really Devin Booker. How are you looking at these guys?
Yeah, same here. Like Devin Booker, especially without KD this year, like he like should be fantasy gold. Like all the usage is going to go through him. So definitely looking forward to playing him. All these other guys will just kind of be meh. I know Jalen Green. I'll be excited to see how he does here, and hopefully he can kind of get back to his old self here. Because outside of Booker, he will for sure be needed on this offense. But until then, I know he re-aggravated his hamstring, and he's supposed to be reevaluated in a week or so. So Grayson Allen, I know they already stated he's starting for him. So not someone I'm ever excited to play. And then Mark Williams, like I want to be excited for him, but just looking at they went from having like no depth at center to having a bunch of depth at center because you got Malik that you have to worry about and Nick Richards as well. Because when Mark Williams gets the minutes, like this dude is a points per minute beast. But if they're gonna split the time between all three of these guys, then that might be a ugly situation to deal with. So curious to see how they run their bigs, but definitely some potential with Mark if he gets a lot of minutes.
Oh, look at Mark Williams and Nick Richards. You reunited
Yeah,
all over again. I feel like I wouldn't be happy about that, though. I was like, we stuck
yeah,
there. We're back on a bad team together.
yep.
This is paradise. But
But
yeah,
yeah,
I think
Booker should do whatever he wants here.
yeah.
Like,
And I like what you're saying about Jalen Green. I agree. It's really just going to be Booker and Green when they're both healthy. Maybe Dylan Brooks. Maybe.
and
Maybe.
he's a wait and see kind of guy.
I
I
can't
don't
stand
mind Grayson taking like small shots on Grayson just because he does have that potential to break a slate when he's knocking his threes down. So
Yeah, agreed. All right. Now we have the Portland Trailblazers, a team that is more of a question mark to me than like me saying I don't like them. Aiton's now gone. Simmons is now gone, or Simons is now gone. Y'all in the chat, a lot of you know this. Me and pronunciation when it comes to these names, like my brain is just not always on top of it. Sometimes I'm really good. Like I was saying Jokic before anybody else was, not anybody else, but a lot of people were saying Jokic or Jokic for so long, and I was like Jokic pretty early. But for a lot of these guys, like my brain, like it just goes away. So I'm sorry in advance. But Drew Holiday is now here, which I think should stabilize things. Lillard is now the Trailblazers, but he's hurt this season, and Blake Wesley's here as well. I I know Klingon is your guy. You love Klingon all day, every day. I think I'll definitely take some shots on Drew Holiday here without all the competition that he had on the Celtics. Deni Avdija, we've seen him have some decent upside too, but the toughest part for me is I just want to see all these guys play together and see how they do in some of these tougher matchups. I think in soft spots, we'll, of course, target them, but in tougher matchups, I think we can expect this team to not be great unless someone really pops off. How do you see it?
yeah, I'm not expecting too much from this team. I am looking forward to Drew here because he had to play a certain role with Boston and kind of take the back seat. Like I think people forget how good Drew is, but he really didn't need to be that guy on Boston just because you have Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So him being on this team now, I think we kind of see a different side of Drew. So I'm definitely looking forward to playing some of him. Avdia is another guy who kind of had a surprising performance last year and
Yeah.
was putting up some crazy stats last year. So looking forward to see if he can continue that. And like you said, Klingon is I'm very high on him this year, and their front court is a little less muddy with Ayton gone. I know he was hurt towards the end of the season last year, and I know Tom Lord is still there too, but he's always hurt in can never stay healthy. So I'm
Yep.
definitely looking for Klingon to kind of take over this front court. And then honorable mention is Shaden Sharp, because we know that ceiling potential is there for him too. But he's more so in play for me when someone else misses. It does help him that Scoot is going to miss sometimes, so he should be one of the top players coming off the bench. So I'm sure he'll be in that 6-man role for sure. But probably somebody I won't get excited for unless like Drew or Kamara miss.
Yeah. And I think the Scoot point's huge. I'm curious to see how he does when he comes back. This is a spot where he kind of needs to prove himself this season. He really needs to bounce back. He was doing well towards the end of last season, but we really need to see a full season out of him, especially with Lillard coming back before they see if they need to do something or not there.
Yeah, I was going to mention Lillard too. It sucks we won't get to see him back with this old team with him being out for the year.
Yeah, but next year.
Yeah.
All right, next up we have the Sacramento Kings. For the Kings, they didn't do too much. They lost Valanciunas. They brought in Dennis Schroeder. Dario Saric is here. Drew Eubanks is here, but they're not really going to be DFS relevant. Dennis Schroeder is probably the most relevant transition they made just because they're struggling at guard right now. But this is just a team I don't love outside of just some one-offs here and there. How are you looking at them?
Yeah, DFS wise, this can be a frustrating team for sure, just because of all the mouths they have to feed and a lot of high usage guys. Sabonis, of course, will be the main guy that I'm sure will be able to target here and there. But always trying to determine. I hate that these two are still on the same team, but Levine and DeRozan like is kind of like flipping a coin, trying to determine who's going to go off between those two.
They have to like each other at this point,
Yeah,
right? Like, because there's no other reason. They're not
yeah,
winning together. So, like,
seriously.
it has to be personality.
Yeah, they're like, it didn't work in Chicago, so let's try in Sacramento.
Same
Um,
white center. Like, come on. Like, it's almost the same team. Like,
yeah.
so frustrating.
And then Malik Monk, that ceiling is there with him too, but with all these other guys, typically unless somebody's out, he's kind of hard to target. If his price is right, I don't mind playing him, but I know a lot of last year his price was pretty high. So, and then at guard, it's you got to mention Schroeder, and now they just signed Westbrook too. So if their price is right, I don't mind taking shots on
Oh,
those
man.
guys.
I'm already frustrated with the Kings.
Yeah,
The season
yeah,
hasn't even started. I just know whatever I do, they're going to piss me off. Like, if I play them, they're going to suck. And if I don't, they're going to go off. But like I said, we'll take our shots here. Sabonis is the only guy I'll play consistently this season. Next up, we have the San Antonio Spurs. Finally, back on track. A team that's exciting to look at. They lost Chris Paul. They lost Malachi Branham. They lost Sandro, Blake Wesley as well. None of that really moved the needle for me. They brought in guys like Luke Cornett, Kelly O, Lindy Waiters, really just kind of like boosting up the depth chart a little bit. But the starters, this is where things get interesting. Who are you liking?
So I'll start with the obvious. Like, how can you not like Wemby? Like, Wemby is just going to be that guy this year. Like,
Yep,
he's probably going to be super expensive, but I
it
mean,
doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter. So I'm just playing Wemby when he's on the slate, to be honest.
He's usually low owned too, which
Yeah,
like we
yeah,
write him up on our leverage play sheet, and it almost feels like cheating because he shouldn't be.
yeah. So yeah, Wemby is the obvious and most exciting play on this team. My second favorite, who I'm very high on, and I was pretty high on last year too, is Castle. Fox is supposed to miss a little bit of time too, so that only makes me like him even more. So expecting him to have another strong year. Guys like Vassell and Barnes, they're kind of meh, and no one ever really excited to play unless there's some guys missing. And then same with like Keldon Johnson and Jeremy, like especially the way they run their rotations. It's just hard to get excited about those guys. They do have two rookies.
Yeah,
These are two more rookies that I'm very excited for. One and more so than the other is Dylan Harper. He's getting a lot of hype, and even without Fox, like he should be playing a huge role like right off the bat. So he'll be somebody that I might try to get some leverage on the first slate. And then Carter Bryant, I'm not as excited for just because it'll be probably a bit more harder for him to make a impact with some of these other guys in the mix. But definitely a lot of potential with him if they miss a guy or two down the road. But yeah, Dylan Harper for sure will be the guy I'm looking out for.
Yeah, I am so high on Dylan Harper. And yeah, there's a lot of hype there, but this team is kind of like the Magic. Like they're just coming together and you feel good about it. From a DFS standpoint, I don't know if too many of these guys will be super relevant besides like Wemby and Fox and Harper while Fox is out. But I'm not going to be afraid to take some shots here. I know Harrison Barnes is going to piss me off on a couple of nights because he'll have his night. And then Vassell's the same way. Like they just have a lot of good talent. It's just going to be us trying to figure out the spots to take shots on these guys.
Yep.
And I feel like between you and I, we're usually pretty good at that, but it's still going to be a bit of a guessing game there.
For sure.
Especially like Keldon Johnson and Sohan still here. Like this team's low key stacked. And that's what's in Champagny still here. These are guys that the coaching staff likes, even though relatively new team, but they like these guys and they're going to get the ball in a lot of hands here, which is going to be frustrating, but good from a real life perspective. Anything else you want to add with these guys?
Nope.
Nice. All right. Toronto Raptors, another team that is better than I think people think. They lost Chris Boucher and they brought in Sandro. Pretty much the same team as last year, but they've had more time together. Brandon Ingram came in late. I like this team. Jakob Poeltl is someone that we're always on. I think that trend will continue at low ownership. Scotty Barnes, I'm expecting a big bounce back year for him. Last year, he was fine. This year, I think he'll come back stronger. I do worry that Brandon Ingram will impact that a little bit, but ideally not. And then the guard situation here gets pretty gross with guys like Quickly, Barrett, Dick. Just in the fact of they're all good. It's just that there's a lot of mouths to feed here. So until someone goes down, I'm not overly excited about the situation. But do you have someone you like here?
I mean, this will be another frustrating team, especially with Brandon Ingram in the mix, because I just think he takes usage away from Barnes and Barrett in particular. I'm sure there'll be games where we can target Podol and good matches because I know we both have liked using him as a leverage piece in the past. So him, I don't mind so much because I'm not too worried about Mamu taking much of his time. But yeah, DFS wise, this team will be, I feel like, very frustrating. I feel like they're definitely, if the price is right, there are definitely some leverage pieces we can get here because there is a lot of talent and guys who can break a slate, but just trying to pick which one is going to be hard for sure.
Yeah, this is a team I'm excited to watch.
Yeah,
And I think from watching them in a couple of games, we'll be able to figure out what's going on here and what's real and what's not. Brandon Ingram's really the big question mark. He could either make this team a contender to make the playoffs, or if he's trash, non-contender. So we'll see. All right, next up we have the Utah Jazz, the worst team in the NBA, a team that's probably tanking like all hell to have a pick. They lost Clarkson, Collins, Sexton, guys who played a lot of minutes for them and were very involved offensively. They brought in slow-mo Kyle Anderson, who will be annoying as hell once again. They brought in Yusuf Nurkic and Niang and Love as well. They drafted Ace Bailey, who, definitely could be interesting. Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler are the names who have proven they can definitely be viable. But even like Kessler, I don't understand why they brought in someone like Nurkic, who didn't really show us too much last year, but he definitely can still play decent minutes. So that lowered my interest a little bit in Kessler, but I think he'll definitely still thrive here. This team's tanking. They need to give their young players minutes, and so that's why I'll be looking to target guys like Lauri Markkanen, Ace Bailey, Walker Kessler. If they trade Lauri Markkanen, I think I'm done with this team, though.
Yeah. they should continue to struggle, especially with how strong the West is. And another team we can target with the opposing team for sure. Especially it should be a usually when you play this team, it's a faster pace game too. So I do love them in that aspect, but um, there's only a couple of spots I like marking in. I'm hoping he wasn't as consistent last year when he did play, but I'm hoping this year we can kind of see him get back to how we know he can play. I know it's not the same as the NBA level, but in the Euro League, he looked really good and showed some of those glimpses of his star power and his ceiling. So hopefully that will translate over this year. And then I do worry about Kessler. He's another guy who is pretty solid points per minute guy. Gets a lot of blocks, a lot of rebounds, but I'm curious to see how they run Nurk and Kevin Love now on the team. So it does worry me a bit about that situation. Ace Bailey, he's going to be somebody I don't mind playing. He's looked really good during the preseason. He didn't play too much in the summer league, so good to see him showing like why he was drafted so high in the preseason. Great shot creator. So if his price is right, don't mind targeting him. And then very curious to see what they do at point guard. I'm a strong believer in Keontae starting over Collier, but I think they stick with how it looks on here. But if Keontae does start, I don't mind playing him. And then I've touted Walter Clayton quite a bit too. He might not like make an impact right off the bat, but if Collier or Keontae is ever out, he'll be somebody I'm looking out for sure coming off the bench. And
All
then
right.
same with Filipowski. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Nang is the one who starts. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a point where Filipowski knocks him out of the starting line because he's had a lot of strong games last season with some of their main guys missing time. And this summer league, like he was one of the top players and was considered a stud in those games. So a lot of potential there and somebody I'm waiting for the right moment to pull the trigger on.
Yeah, that's good to highlight. The one thing I'll say about why you might not be super excited to see them on a slate is this team is going to have blowout concern written on them every single game.
Yep.
The nice thing about like the Hornets and Pacers is that they have a little bit of talent to kind of compete. The Jazz, they do, and they will at times, but 9 times out of 10, they're going to be out of it by the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And again, that doesn't mean we need to avoid that in DFS because we've seen it time and time again. People can get the points they need by the third quarter if the game's that explosive, but it's going to burn us a decent amount. So just be comfortable with that risk or fade it. And then last but not least, we have the Washington Wizards. Washington had a lot of changes. They lost Jordan Poole. Marcus Smart was cut. Brogdon left. Sadiq Bey is gone. Kelly O is gone. They brought in guys like Cam Whitmore, Blake Wesley, Kelly O, CJ McCollum is a big piece for them. Malachi Branham from the Spurs, which is also relatively important too. And Dylan Jones joined the team as well. For me, they have a ton of options with guys they can play on this team. It's just how much talent is actually here at this point for a lot of these guys. What are your thoughts here, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm very curious to see how CJ does here. He is one of those frustrating guys, DFS wise, but the ceiling is there, and this is a team where, I mean, they have some good young talent, but there's no veteran presence outside of Middleton, of course. So definitely looking for him to step up here, and I wouldn't be surprised if um, he had a lot of great games on this team. Middleton, I'm not really excited for. Carrington and Sarr, they had pretty solid years last year, so they're probably two of my favorite of their younger core, and I'm sure there'll be times where we can target them down the road. I don't know about the first slate. It depends on the matchup, of course. And then Cam Whitmore, I hope he's unleashed on his team. he can be a frustrating player too, but he's somebody we've seen with that potential. And this should definitely be a better situation for him to get more minutes just because Rockets were so deep and the way they ran their rotations, it was hard for him to be a key player. So hopefully he can be that here. And then one of their rookies that I wanted to call out is Trey Johnson. He's another solid guy that I kind of watched during the summer league too. So whenever
Okay.
his number gets called, he'll be somebody I'm looking out for.
Yeah, for me right now, it's really just Sar and CJ McCollum, and then I'll trust the projections on guys like Carrington, and I don't think I'll play Middleton. But yeah,
Yeah, no.
Sar and CJ are the main guys I'm looking at here. Sar really came on strong towards the end of last season. We hit on him, and we did pretty well towards the end of last season, taking some shots on him. And then CJ, I expect what he did with the Pelicans. He'll be hit or miss. He'll have more of a leadership role. The Wizards will have probably a slightly safer floor than they had last season, but they're still going to suck. So that is every team in review. We were able to do it in about an hour and a half. Not too bad. A little long, but not insane. If you're still here with us, definitely do sign up with DFS Army if you haven't. But Brandon, any just like general strategy points you want to talk about, or any just advice going into next Tuesday?
So especially with it being the first week, of course there are going to be some chalk pieces, and if it makes sense, like I mean, the first game on the slate is a 2-gamer, so it's going to be kind of hard to avoid chalk. But more so specifically the next day where there's 12 games, like just don't be afraid to take shots on low on guys. Like I feel like that's what both of us kind of specialize in the most is just finding that leverage on guys. Like especially the first week, if you see the field leaning one way, it's a 12-game slate. There's going to be so many hidden gems throughout. So that's my biggest piece of advice is don't be afraid to play those lower owned guys, especially in a good game environment. So that'll definitely be my top priority, mainly on that Wednesday slate.
Yeah, I love the start of the NBA season because everyone thinks they know what's going to happen. And people are always just scared to take shots on spots that look good because those guys are bad last year.
Yep.
And so, kind of like NFL too, I'm always just the best at the start of the season. And then once we kind of know what's going on, you can kind of just like ride the wave, trust the projections, take shots on guys who are lower owned. But early season, kind of like the start of the playoffs too, that's when you can kind of make more of those educated guesses on guys who are going to be in better spots than they were before in the past. So it's going to be a good season. We're going to be here starting next Tuesday on the Pre-Lock Show to kind of talk you through what our strategy is going to be for each slate. That show will be anywhere from like 5:40 to 6 o'clock with a start time, just kind of depending on when everyone's free. And yeah, it's going to be a good one. Any final words, Brandon?
Nope, just tune in if like you said, if you're not subscribed, like now's the perfect time to do it. And our cheat sheets alone are worth it, and our chat in the Discord as well. Like that's just where all the magic happens. So if
Real.
you're not a member, sign up right now.
Sweet. All right. We'll see you all next week. Peace out.